Am I the a-hole for giving my fiancé an ultimatum and threatening to call off the engagement? My 34F fiancé, 29M, and I have been together for 5.5 years, engaged for 1.5 years, and for the most part have a wonderful relationship together. We rarely argue, and even when everything went down, we never end up yelling or calling names, etc. He's a very calm person, however he is conflict averse, which is a big reason why I'm making this post. We live in the bottom floor of a 2-story house that was converted into a duplex decades ago, but the house itself is over 100 years old, and it shows. We have water damage in a couple places around the house, and we have mold because of it. The first part was found about 4 years ago, when we discovered that a pipe that runs behind the kitchen cabinet next to the sink has a slow leak that has eaten a hole in the back wall of the lowest shelf of the cabinet. The second thing happened last summer, when the window AC unit we had installed a year prior suddenly started pouring water into the house instead of outside. For reasons I still don't fully understand, my fiancé is extremely opposed to me contacting the landlord myself, and he is so terrified of being evicted that he has allowed this problem to go unaddressed to the point that I'm waking up sick every day with respiratory problems due to the mold. We have talked several times about this, and every time he tells me he's going to get it taken care of, but doesn't. I have offered to contact the landlord on his behalf to ease that part of his anxiety, but he refuses to let that happen because of the fear of eviction. I have explained to him that water damage and mold is a landlord problem, and we have a legal right to habitability, but the only reason we would get evicted is if we caused it or neglected to report it. I told him that we should tell the landlord that we didn't notice it because we had things in the way that made it, so we didn't notice until we got around to spring cleaning and reorganizing. Typing this out makes me feel like I'm going crazy because I have no idea why I've tolerated this for so fucking long, but I really do love my fiancé, and I understand that his mental health has led to all of this going unaddressed, and I can't help but feel obligated to stay by his side. Another big point of contention is his lack of employment or any form of income. I live with a chronic pain disorder that comes with constant fatigue and other issues that are unpredictable, and so he was understanding and never pressured me to get a job while he was working since I managed the home and sold things I made with various hobbies for added support. Last January, he was suddenly laid off and was struggling to find a new job, and the stress was taking a massive toll on him. I used to be a dancer a couple years before we met, and I decided to go back to doing that at a club nearby our house, since the money was good, and our relationship has never had any problems with me being a dancer, since we have open communication and boundaries in place for my safety and his comfort, which I have respected. I told him that he had taken care of me for years, and I wanted to take some pressure off of him while he gets back on his feet, and we could go from there. The problem is that it's been over a year now, and there has been no progress from him in finding a new job, or even doing odd jobs to bring in any money to help out when the club is slow, which has been a lot lately. He's just been sitting at home on his phone, which I pay for, or his computer watching YouTube all day, and rarely contributes to chores when I'm working a job that, while flexible, has absolutely destroyed any amount of energy I have left over, and I have to spend my time off recovering from chronic illness flare-ups and fatigue. My health, both physically and mentally, have taken a huge hit from all of this. I go to doctors and therapy appointments regularly to manage my symptoms with medication and lifestyle changes. I've been sober for almost 6 months, and I'm in a recovery program for alcoholism, which I'm very proud of, but it's been so hard to be the sole income provider and having to find the energy to cook and everything else around and outside of the house. A couple weeks ago, I met with my peer mentor at the recovery center I attend and told her about everything, the water damage, the physical and emotional pain I'm suffering being the provider for a relationship that's going nowhere, and the hopelessness that there's nothing I can do to fix things because my fiancé won't let me. Sure, I could go behind his back and talk to the landlord anyway, but I'm terrified of the fallout. The conclusion from the conversation is that, despite my dislike for ultimatums, I needed to lay it out for him. Either he starts putting in applications and addresses the water damage/mold issue with the landlord, or I'm calling off the wedding until he can earn my trust again. When I had the conversation with him, he was more upset that I was threatening to call off the wedding instead of reflecting on everything that led up to this, and fed me excuse after excuse, claiming that I don't take his mental health problems seriously and that I need to be patient. I have been patient for years, and it has turned me into a doormat, and I explained to him that I'm no longer accepting excuses for this complacency. I expressed to him that I love him so much and I don't want to end the relationship, and that this whole situation is painful for me as well. I don't want to break up, but I absolutely need for him to do better and get the help he needs in order for us to be a healthy couple, because I don't want to marry someone who is okay with his wife inhaling mold spores every day. I have so much compassion for him because I have been in his position before, but I was able to get myself out of it with no support. Eventually, he acknowledged his part of the problem and agreed to the terms we discussed. A week later, and while he had put in applications, He still hadn't contacted the landlord. I asked if he had sent a text yet, and he said no, but he has a plan to text him after his tax return comes in just in case he needs to pay for anything. I told him that I can't accept that, since he agreed to everything the week prior and didn't say anything about this until the deadline. He pleaded with me that I wait until his return comes in, and I said that if he offers money to the landlord up front, that it'll raise suspicion, and that if he does need to pay anything to wait until the landlord says anything about it. I handed my engagement ring back to him and went to another room to cry while I got ready to go to work. Here's where I know I'm wrong. I allowed this to continue for years and tolerated the excuses under the idea that I was being patient with him. I very well could have spoken to the landlord and dealt with the fallout that came from it. I could have just left the relationship entirely, and he would have had to move back in with his mom. Moving out without addressing the damage first could be catastrophic, but it would probably be better than staying in a house that's slowly destroying our lungs. I'm at a loss and I feel trapped. To make matters worse, I don't currently have a license because it was suspended last summer and I won't get it back until October, so I can't exactly leave unless I move in with my dad, who lives a couple cities away. My health problems make it difficult to have a normal job since my symptoms are unpredictable and flare-ups happen suddenly. My fiancé thinks that giving him an ultimatum to get a job and call the landlord to address the mold was a whole move, but I feel like I'm going insane because of this. Am I the a-hole?